Hello, friends. Thank you for being here today. I'm sorry I'm not exuberant as I usually am. Quite frankly, I'm not feeling well. And the reason? The stupid satellites. They're literally killing me. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not kidding. Now, some will declare that the satellites that are being reportedly launched for 5G for the space funds can't possibly emit 5G frequencies, millimeter frequencies, as far as where I am right now from the sky. However, those same individuals perhaps aren't aware that we have a limited access to the information and research developments by the military, right? We know what, 20, 30, perhaps even farther years after a development is made technologically. Now, as far as myself personally, I've written about this before on my blog. I wrote about this issue with the satellites a couple days after it occurred. I have mast cell activation syndrome, latex allergy, and electromagnetic hypersensitivity syndrome. As a result, I'm a human canary. And because of this, I become extremely adept at identifying the causes of my symptoms. I basically have to be a private investigator every day to figure out what is causing these symptoms. And because we limit new products so specifically and carefully in our home, and I don't buy new foods, and I contact companies constantly, I'm always doing research. Because of all of these steps to protect me, it's much easier for me to narrow down the symptoms and the causality. And now this recent, excuse me, I'm experiencing symptoms today, as you can tell. I feel like crap. And this is nothing compared to what I have been experiencing on a lot of days. Now, recently what happened was I suddenly, in the evening, I started to feel poorly, and that wasn't particularly surprising because I found out later that rain was coming. That was a Tuesday, I believe. The next day, my husband was off work because it was raining. So he was home and he was scared. He was really scared for me. I can't go to the ER. The ER is death for me. And again, that's not an exaggeration. I was having chest pains, heart palpitations, extreme, unquenchable thirst, which is an experience that I've never had before, ever in my entire life, despite exposure to EMFs. And I also was having trouble breathing, short of breath. I have barely caught my breath for more than maybe 2 or 3 days since this occurred. I do have a video where I shared what was helping me on one particular day, and it was indeed helping me. But it's not entirely consistent. It still is helping me some. I can't imagine how I'd be feeling if I weren't taking these interventions. So these are the symptoms that I have developed. I believe coffee enemas, as unpleasant as they sound, I think that the glutathione in them is indeed helping me. Again, this is not medical information. This is not medical advice. Always consult your doctor. This is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, prevent, or mitigate any diagnoses or symptoms. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration of the United States. I have to say that. The fact of the matter is that I was able to narrow down that there is nothing here causing my symptoms. Now, some would say, well, it was 5G. I live in the woods in a very rural county. And yes, there are some rural broadband projects ongoing, and they have been going on for quite some time in the area. But they haven't done any of that work for at least 3 weeks prior to this strange day. So I knew it wasn't that, and I know this because I'm outside as much as I possibly can be. It's very healing for me here to be in nature. Now, my symptoms had no apparent cause, and my usual EMF tool bag, it didn't work. and it's always worked for me. Like I said, the extreme thirst, that's a new one for me. My husband also ended up getting really thirsty. He's only having the problem when he's here at home, which is very unusual because he works in a 5G test city. However, his thirst is extreme here, but not when he's at work. My cat, who is a senior, I think he's 18, he's also just been drinking and drinking. He can't seem to get enough water in him. My chickens, we have 6 chickens. Suddenly, we have gone from 6 to 8 eggs a day to 1 to 3 eggs a day. And that decrease in production correlated directly with this SpaceX launch. Now, I didn't know that SpaceX had another launch here recently until I looked a couple days later. I think it was 2 days later that I looked. So you can't say that I'm having these symptoms because, I'm believing that I will as a result of the satellites. I've never had problems due to satellites, to the best of my knowledge. I know some people have, and I did believe them as far as their claims go, because why would someone make a claim like this? Why would I claim this? I'm putting myself out there, friends. I'm putting myself out there for criticism. But these satellites are not safe. They're harming you. They're harming biologic life. Now, besides the decrease in egg production in my chickens, they're also thirsty. They're so thirsty. I actually did another video here on YouTube about the thirst and asking about that. And since I haven't posted on my website yet, I know there aren't many views, if there are any at all, but I did post a link to one study that addressed this, and Arthur Furstenberg, who I know some consider not to be a reliable source of information, and I respect that, but he's also done some really great work. He claims that the extreme thirst is a common symptom of microwave illness. Now look at my lips. I'm constantly putting chapstick on them, my homemade personal chapstick, and I can't drink enough water. I'm having these chest pains and heart palpitations. Not every day, thank goodness, praise God for his natural pharmacy. But I am using so many interventions right now just to be able to breathe. And this today isn't one of my best days, but it's far from one of my worst days. On my worst days, I go out to the chicken coop and I come home and I collapse. I mean, it's not that far to the chicken coop, but I can't breathe. It's so hard to catch my breath, friends. I hope this is a warning to you. I don't know what we can do about this. We're going here, at least in our home, we're going to switch to aluminum siding, and I pray that that works. If it doesn't, then we're going to paint with lead paint. And I understand the risks of heavy metals. I understand lead poisoning. I validate your concern with lead. I've gotten rid of dishes with lead. But I think that the attack on lead partly has some reasoning behind it, and it's not for our benefit. I understand lead poisoning. I'm not saying that people who have experienced it or have claimed to have symptoms due to lead exposure are lying. That is not at all what I'm saying. I cannot be more clear about that. However, I want to live, friends. I want to live, and I know we'll figure something out. I know something will work, and I know that as I keep researching, I'll find something that will work for me every day. I can't do the coffee enemas every day. It doesn't seem right. I know some people do. Right now I'm out every 2 days, 2 to 3 days, and the day after I notice a huge difference. I'm sorry, it's so hard for me to breathe right now. I hope that this doesn't happen to you. This has happened to other human canaries in the Midwest that I've spoken to, who've reached out to me, who've said that they didn't know that the launch was happening either. And on that same day that I came down with the symptoms, they had the symptoms too. Now, what do these symptoms remind you of? Right? The breathing? The trouble with oxygen? Now, I'm not saying that that's the cause of all of them. all of the cases. That's not at all what I'm suggesting, and I'm not saying that there isn't a virus. It's not at all what I'm saying. But look at the symptoms. Look at the symptoms of microwave illness or microwave sickness. This is what I'm experiencing, friends. Now, it's going to look different in everyone. Your symptoms won't be the same as mine. Some people have migraines instead. Some people have eye problems. Having a little bit of eye issues, but not too much, not too bad. Can't complain about that. Can't complain, period, because my home is so much safer than 99.99999% of buildings in the world today. Please pray for me. Pray that something comes along, either that I research or that someone provides, so that I can find some more relief, because no one should have to deal with this. This is just unbelievable. And I understand that some of the people who are reporting these symptoms are in areas of G, and as a result, their symptoms are likely correlated to these small cell towers located in their communities. However, I strongly disagree with those who say that these aren't the same frequencies that are being emitted. Now, there are no sources of radio frequencies on our property that I can detect. I can't detect these microwave frequencies. I don't have a meter that costs thousands of dollars, and I don't want one. I have other things I'd rather spend my money on, quite frankly. If you feel led, please share this with others so that they understand that they aren't alone, and that they recognize that these satellites have risks and they come with great dangers. They have the potential for significant harm. They are causing harm. I'm not the only one. Thank you so much for listening, and please have a blessed, safe day.